Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Red Carpet. Today I have the pleasure of welcoming Gigi Garner, the daughter of iconic actor James Garner. And as everybody knows, anybody who knows me knows, he was always my favorite interviewee. But a little side note, we can't get Gigi on video with us today, but she is here with us on audio, so we can hear her. We're not going to be able to see her, unfortunately, but nevertheless, we'll still get some great stuff from her. And I want to welcome Gigi Garner.
Thank you so much.
Well, okay, let's start with your father, obviously. As I mentioned, he was my favorite interviewee. He was kind and open and honest and just seemed like a lovable teddy bear. Was he like that in real life?
Well, I think so, but I mean, he really tried to be just a good person and live by the golden rule. And that's, you know, very important to me. It's a great example that he set as well.
Well, was he a strict disciplinarian? I know people oftentimes at home, they have their rules and their strict set of moral guidelines. Was he a disciplinarian, or did your mother actually do the disciplining in your household?
What discipline? No.
You never did anything wrong.
No. No. You know what? My dad was a fun dad. He was the dad that, you know, when I had friends over, he would get down on the floor and play with us. And, you know, they had a balcony off of their bedroom that was over our swimming pool. And of course, as kids, we want to jump off that balcony into the swimming pool, but my dad had to do it first to make sure it was safe.
Oh my gosh.
He did it, and then we did it. But no, I think he was the fun dad.
He sounds like it. And like I said, I enjoyed being in the same room with him, even if I wasn't talking to him. He was great. But he made so many great movies. And let me just list a few in case viewers want to check them out. The Great Escape, one of my all-time favorites. Move Over, Darling with Doris Day, and The Thrill of It All with Doris Day. Doris Day and Rock Hudson are basically considered the great rom-com duos. But in my opinion, I think your dad and Doris Day were even better. They had such a chemistry on screen. What are your comments on that?
They had a chemistry off screen too. I mean, they had a tremendous amount of mutual respect, and they worked really well together, and they were close friends.
Well, was she ever over at your house?
Oh, I'm sure she was. I don't recall too much of when I was that little, but I did go on the set quite a bit when he was making The Thrill of It All and Move Over, Darling. And she remained friends with my dad his whole life.
That's great. That's great. And he was, well, in The Great Escape, one of my, oh my gosh, what a great movie that was. Were you too little to go over there to Germany when they were filming?
I think I was, but I did go on location to many film sets. I was on the set of Grand Prix in England at Brands Hatch, and I was, you know, on location a lot because back in the day, it used to take such a long time to make a film that, you know, I didn't want to go without a year without seeing my dad. So, you know, we would go and visit wherever he was, which was really fun.
Speaking of Grand Prix, he was also a race car driver. I mean, he was really into that. Did his love of racing, did that spill over to you at all, or did he say, I don't want you doing this?
Oh no, I loved going to races with my dad. We would go on the weekends. We would go to Ontario Motor Speedway or Riverside or Baja or wherever it was, they were having a race. I was just thinking about that the other day. You know, he used to grab the mini bikes and the motorcycles, and we used to go to dirt tracks and stay over for the weekend. And he just loved sports, period, but particularly racing, because he had his own racing team called American International Racing. And he even made a documentary about racing called The Racing Scene.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that as well. I can't list all his movies, but do you have some favorites that he made over the years?
Probably my favorite film, well, I'm obsessed with Grand Prix, I admit it, but probably my favorite film was Skin Game with Lou Gossett, because I was there. I think they filmed it during the summer, and I was there almost every day with my dad. So I knew everybody in the cast really well, and I was very comfortable there. And that was a really fun time for me, because he was shooting most of it at the Walt Disney Ranch in Saugus, Newhall. So yeah, I would probably say Skin Game, which is not the most politically correct film at the moment, but it is what it is. It's kind of a funny, fun plot, and they're really friends, and it's very comedic.
Well, I haven't seen that in so long. I think I'm going to have to look that up and check that one out. But yeah, he also was in 36 Hours, which is a very dramatic film.
He made some dramatic films. He made a
Yes.
film called Twilight, where he was the bad guy. 36 Hours I've never seen.
Oh my.
But there are certain films like The Children's Hour, never seen that. Mr. Budwing, never seen that. But I mean, it's kind of, those things are a bit controversial. So it's okay. I don't need to see every film of his.
Well, 36 Hours, I think he did a phenomenal job. Oh my gosh, what a consummate actor he was. And to be honest, I know you miss him greatly, but I miss him as a fan and as an interviewer. I would love to be able to sit down and talk with him. Space Cowboys, one of his latter films, was adorable. And it's great to see some of the older actors playing older people that a lot of times they don't do.
And The Notebook, don't forget The Notebook.
The Notebook, definitely. I mean, that's a classic film, The Notebook. So let me ask you, besides the movies, do you have a personal story or anecdote about him that most people might not know that you want to share?
One thing I do remember is when, when he was making a film in England, I think he was making Grand Prix, he bought this racetrack for these little cars, and we set the racetrack up all over the sitting room in the hotel. And he and I would race these cars on the floor, through the chairs, under the couch, under the table, and we would do that all the time, and that was so much fun.
Oh, he sounds like a really fun dad. He really does.
He was a fun dad.
Yeah, and I'm sure he was very proud of you. You've had an amazing career with a lot of things, which we'll get into in a minute. But I know you're very open about the fact you have lupus, as a lot of people have autoimmune diseases. And your father did something really dad-like and used his fame to do a PSA for the Lupus Foundation.
Yes.
How'd that make you feel? I mean, were you out openly discussing lupus at the time, or did he bring it out into the open?
Well, no, I wanted people to know about lupus, because at the time I was diagnosed, people really didn't know anything about it. And I was in the hospital 13 times in a year for lupus, 1 year. And that was the year that he did that PSA. And that was my birthday present, was to do this PSA for lupus. And that was probably the best gift I could ever have received. But yes, he did that for me, and that really meant a lot to me. And I think personally, he was afraid I was going to die, and that I think that's one of the reasons why he did it.
That's such a loving gesture and the loving thing he did for his daughter and for all of us that have major illnesses. He also, besides racing, he loved animals. I mean, he was an animal enthusiast from the time he was young, correct?
Yes, yes. He got his first dog, I think, found his first rescue at like 6. He was always had dogs, always, always, always around him. And until the day he died, his dogs were with him.
Oh, how sweet. And you also have inherited that love of animals. And to honor your father's legacy, you have you created the James Garner Animal Rescue Fund. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what it does.
Well, thank you for asking. I call it JG James Garner Animal Rescue Fund, JG He would have thought that was funny. I came up with it about a year and a half ago. I wanted to continue on my dad's legacy somehow with his name through a charitable foundation. And then I've been an animal rescuer for over 30 years. And so to combine the two, just kind of a light bulb went off and said, I should do something with my dad's legacy to continue it on. And the Animal Rescue Fund seemed like a good idea at the time. So I filed for a 501c3 and got it. And what I do actually is I have relationships built over many, many years with many different rescues all over the world. And I try to help them fund their, emergent situations, whether they need medication, surgery, food, lodging, transport. I try to help other rescues with their funding.
Oh, that's amazing. And I have a quote from you. I'm going to read it right now. This is Gigi Garner. People have been given the huge responsibility of having dominion over animals, which I believe means that it is our duty as human beings to take care of them. They are innocent, unconditionally loving creatures at our mercy, and there is no excuse for animal abuse. And I think that is a fabulous quote from you.
Thank you.
We all, I should say most of us love animals and hate to see anything happen to them. How many animals do you have right now, by the way?
Well, I have 2 rescues. I used to rescue the animals myself, but with lupus and my health situation, I cannot physically rescue them anymore myself. But that's okay. I use my connections and my funding to help other people with their rescues, and it seems to be working out pretty well.
You're just paying it forward in that respect, which is
hopefully,
marvelous.
Hopefully. Yeah.
During COVID, now I follow you on Twitter and we follow each other. During COVID, you picked up a new art pastime. You started painting. How did you start that?
Well, yeah, it was just like a little hobby that exploded. During the pandemic, I got really sick and I ended up in the hospital twice, not with COVID, but with some other things that were going on. And really, I feel like the world has been held captive in their homes for a year. And, I had so much pent up creative energy that I needed some sort of an outlet. And for just one day, I just started painting. And I'd never painted before or taken an art class, nothing like that. And I ended up with 100 paintings in my house. And I was really bored one night and I happened to post. So I started painting during the pandemic to keep myself from going crazy. And then I posted some of my paintings and people wanted to buy them right then and there. So I posted more and they bought them. I posted more and they bought them. And then an art critic saw my work and she wanted to interview me. And then she asked me during the interview, where can people buy your artwork? And I was like, oh no, I can't say Twitter. So I had called a gallery to ask them if they could recommend a photographer so I could get my work photographed. And they were like, hey, can we see your paintings? And I'm like, sure. So I brought like 50 paintings in, and then they seemed to get it from the get-go, and they had a contract in my email by the time I drove home. So I signed with the gallery in Beverly Hills, and my gallery just went live, and all of the proceeds that I get go directly to my foundation, my charitable foundation to save animal lives. So there's not many people I know that are art collectors that can actually buy a painting and get a tax write-off. So it's kind of a win-win for me to paint and be able to do something I like and have the proceeds go to something that means everything to me, which is my dad's legacy, the James Garner Animal Rescue Fund.
Right. Why don't you let us know the gallery where people can go if they're in the Beverly Hills area and look at some of your paintings live?
The gallery is called ACCA Beverly Hills. So if you Google it, you can see it's on Camden. It's ACCA Artist Corner, California, Beverly Hills. So Google it and see where it is, and you can call and make an appointment to come view, because COVID, I don't think that it's open right now. I also have a virtual gallery, and you can see all my works. If you go to the ACCA gallery website, click on artists, and then click on my name, Gigi Garner, you can see all my paintings there.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And are you still putting paintings up on Twitter? Because I know a lot of people have purchased them from your Twitter.
On Twitter, no, I can't do it anymore, unfortunately.
Because you have a contract with the
gallery.
I
signed a contract with the gallery, and so now the people that got a painting off of Twitter made a great investment, because they just went up a whole bunch.
That is amazing.
It's something that happened truly organically. I wasn't even trying to sell them. Mm-hmm. And thank goodness I was bored and posted that. Otherwise, I'd be sitting in a house full of 200 paintings, just looking at them myself.
I've been painting for years, and I've had so many paintings that I just had to give away because I have no wall space left anymore.
Right.
It's crazy.
I hear that because I have no space either. My house is a gallery, and so my floors are paintings now because I paint all over my floor.
Now, are you using acrylics or oils or watercolors?
Yes, I use acrylics, but I don't use brushes. I've only used a brush for like 4 paintings. I use other things that I find interesting to use, like popsicle sticks or plastic sheets or, all kinds of crazy stuff, because I want to create something beautiful and pleasing to look at and soothing to look at. But I don't want to do it like everybody else. I just want to be a nonconformist. So I'm just using things I find around my house.
That's very imaginative. And you know what? Your paintings are very colorful, very, like you said, soothing. They're very upbeat. They actually, when I look at them, they put a smile on my face.
Aw, thank you so much. You know what? I did my job.
Yes.
I think people got so depressed during the pandemic and just so worn out. I thought, you know what? I need something bright and cheerful and creative to do. And fortunately, people saw that when I posted them. They could see that oh, this is, bright. We need something cheerful or happy to look at because we've been in a terrible rut for the last year. It's been
We've been
nightmare.
in a funk.
Yeah.
And your paintings definitely, I always looked forward to seeing the new ones that you posted because they were just beautiful. They're not your average. I do landscapes and scenery. They're not like that. They just take you into your heart. They are.
Thank you so much for saying that. I had an art critic, and she just wrote an incredible essay on my animal rescue and my art. She wanted to interview me because really I've only been painting for a few months. And she couldn't understand how somebody who's just been painting for a few months could get so far. Well, first of all, I'm a painting machine, but I really love it. But I've had some critical acclaim that has absolutely blown me out of the water. And I've been compared to like Gerhard Richter and people who sell paintings for tens of millions of dollars and things like that. And I'm just like, are they talking about my painting? Really? I've never had an art class. I'm not painting with a paintbrush. It's just something that I feel, and it feels good to me. And hopefully if it feels good to me and pleasurable, other people can appreciate my aesthetic vision.
Well, you have accomplished your original goal of making people a little bit happier and lifting them out of the funk.
Thank you.
Like you said, your proceeds go to the James Garner. I keep loving that, but anyway, James Garner Animal Rescue Fund, JG ARF. What do you think? Well, your father never did any art, did he?
No.
Artistic? Okay. What do you think he would have said about your paintings? Do you have anything that you think that he would have looked at something and said, "Oh, that's."
It's really interesting because I was one of these kids that like brought home like the ugliest pot holder. I just didn't really seem to have a grasp for art in particular. And it's really interesting because even somebody who didn't have like wasn't a natural or whatever, like at my age, I can just pick up and do something. But I have a feeling it had to do with, I've been a designer before, and I was a jewelry designer. I was a metalsmith, and so I had worked with color. My main thing is color. What I think about my dad and my painting is that the day that I met the gallery owner, when he was walking me to the elevator, he said, you must be divinely inspired because I've never seen anybody who just started paint like you. You have some control over the paint that I've never seen before. And I think I am divinely inspired, and I truly believe in my heart of hearts that my dad is my guardian angel, and he wants me to succeed.
Oh, that's very sweet and touching. That's very sweet and touching. And okay, you said you're into color, and you did do jewelry design.
Yes.
You've been a producer. I just found out that you were a recording artist as well.
Oh yeah, that was about 10 careers ago.
And you've had a lot of careers. I think I highly recommend people look you up because you are an amazing, amazing woman. You have done so much with your life.
Thank you so much. I know that I've done a few things, but I can guarantee you I'm never going to do anything as great as my dad ever did. And that's okay with me.
Well, he really, like I said, I couldn't wait to get in the room with him because he just made everybody feel so welcome. And just like he was your best friend, which is rare for big stars to do.
He had a down-home country boy feel because he was from Norman, Oklahoma, and he never really lost that. And he was a genuinely kind, genuinely nice person. He did so many things for others. It just blows my mind because people are constantly contacting me, telling me, I want to tell you what your dad did for me. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea, because he would never tell anybody. So it was, I just want to pay it forward. I want to be a good representative of my father, but it's important for me to carry on my dad's legacy and make sure people don't ever forget about him. Because sometimes, if they're gone for a long time, people forget.
That's true, but I don't think anybody will ever forget your father, and especially with you around. But still, his resume of work is just phenomenal. And I want, before we leave you, I want people to make sure that they go see the James Garner Animal Rescue Fund website. And also, if you want to know more about you as the Twitter goes around and you do updates and you do things and people ask you questions about your father and movies, and I've commented several times, you have done something really kind of cute. He was very famous for being Brett Maverick and Jim Rockford. And your Twitter handle is Mavrocks Girl. So you combined the two, which I thought was very clever. And have you thought about, had you been calling yourself that for a long time before you did it on the internet?
Well, I'll be honest. My dad made it up, and his license plate is Mavrock, or was Mavrock. So that's where I got it from.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great story. Well, see, I did learn something. That's something. I always love to talk about him and learn new stuff. So we're going to have to talk on the phone some more, because he was a sweetheart and you are very accomplished. And I'm so happy that you were able to come, at least audio wise, here on the show and let people in on some of what you're doing and what your dad did. And I really appreciate your stopping by.
I really appreciate your interest, and thank you for helping me promote my charity, which is the charity website is www.jgarf.org. So it's Mavrocks Girl, at Mavrocks Girl on Twitter, and jgarf.org on the web.
Wonderful. Like I said, we hope to talk with you again soon, and we'll see you next time beyond the red carpet.